بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أخواني وأخواتي أولياء الأمور، أبنائي وبناتي الخريجين، إدارة مدرسة البيان ثنائية اللغة، الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أتشرف بحضوركم اليوم ونحن نحتفل بهذه الدفعة الرائدة من طلبة مدرسة البيان. وإذ يأذنني إخواني وأخواتي أولياء الأمور أن أقدم شكراً خاص نيابة عنا جميعاً إليكم الطاقم التدريسي للمدرسة لما بذلتموه من جهد دؤوب ومثابرة مستمرة لتعليم أبنائنا وبناتنا رغم تحديات الدراسة عن بعد. وها نحن اليوم نقف بكل فخر ونحن نقطف ثمار ما غرسناه في جيل واعد سوف ينهض به المجتمع نتيجة تكاتف أفراده من أمهات وآباء ومدرسات ومدرسين، وتقديراً لدور مدرسة البيان بالتعليم ثنائي اللغة. أستأذنكم بتوجيه كلمتي لأبنائي وبناتي الخريجين باللغة الإنجليزية. Graduates, over the past 15 months, we have all become accustomed to peering into people's homes. Thanks to the pervasive video calls that have come to define how we interact during this pandemic, we have been invited into people's living rooms, their kitchens, and even their bedrooms. How many of you have become so bored with your teachers and classmates droning on in video calls that you started to rate their Zoom backgrounds? That crooked picture hanging on the wall, that unmade bed in the back, and that family pet that wanders onto the screen at precisely the right time to break the monotony and keep things fresh. And admit it, how many of you have stood up during class only to accidentally reveal your pajama bottoms? You've asked me to deliver your last online lecture before you become BBS alumni. For that, I am grateful for your trust. There's an old adage that says everybody remembers who their commencement speaker was, but nobody actually remembers a word they said. That's not the case for me. At my Princeton graduation, my commencement speaker was the great jazz trumpeter, Wynton Marsalis. He approached the podium holding on to his trumpet, and then spent half his time on stage playing that trumpet. What I learned from him in that speech was that each of us has his own individual trumpet, that special ability or skill that sets us apart from everybody else and allows us to shine. Whatever that trumpet is for you, bring it to the game. It's a message that has stuck with me over the past 27 years. Always play your trumpet. Now, don't expect me to play any instruments for you here tonight. Instead, what I hope you take away from this evening is not who your commencement speaker was, but that I challenged you to make choices based on your ethical beliefs and to showcase your own individual trumpets. It's the choices that you make that tell the world who you are. Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu had a number of weighty aphorisms, one of which has stuck with me over the years. In it he said, إن الفتى من يقول ها أنا ذا ليس الفتى من يقول كان أبي. When the world assesses you, nobody cares who your parents are, what your ancestors did in the past, or what they may have bequeathed to you now. What we will assess you on is who you are now, how you got here, and how you earn the trust and respect of your peers. It is what you do with what you have been given that determines your greatness as an individual. So allow me to share with you a primer on how to achieve your goals in 3 steps. First, identify where your roots lie. For me, it's in this building, Diwan Saud, my family Diwaniyya in Salmiya. It is where we gather as a family to celebrate our accomplishments. I was married here. And it is also where we mark our tragedies. I mourned my father and my grandfather here. Whenever I face a tough decision, what to study in school, how to plot my career path, how my wife and I will raise our kids, I go back to my central question. Will the decision that I make my mother and my motherland proud? You may have different roots, special places you turn to on special occasions, places that ground you, places from which you can launch into any direction and soar. These places need not be tied to a physical location such as this. It can be the spirituality you derive from your religion. It can be that warm embrace of a loving grandmother. And it can even be that high school class that you took whose teacher pushed you to explore your boundaries. Whatever your roots, take note of them and list why they are important to you, because that set of beliefs is what you will need to guide your decision-making as an adult. Now that you know where your roots lie, your second task is to ensure that the decisions that you take are the right ones. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. We've all made whoppers in our past. In fact, I posit to you that you cannot achieve success without experiencing failure along the way. Never having failed means never having challenged yourself adequately, and a life without challenge is not a life well lived. So what do I mean by making the right decisions? It is making those decisions based on your value system and the roots that we've identified. The simplest yet most challenging lesson I learned in high school was that you must always choose the hard right over the easy wrong. So how does choosing the hard right over the easy wrong play out in today's society? We're all faced with ethical challenges that test our moral courage. In many such occasions, there may be a right path forward, a path that is rooted in our beliefs. But that path may not necessarily be an easy one. It may require you to speak up against the prevailing course. If you know that path to be right, if you know that path to be moral, if you know that path will make your mother and your motherland proud, take it. Do not take the easy way if you know the easy way to be the wrong one. Easy may be comfortable. Easy may be appealing. Your friends and family may even push you towards it. But easy is not always good. Easy is not always right. Choose the hard right. It is what will define you and set you above all those too afraid to stay true to their principles. I have come to know a fair number of you through Nasr. This graduating class is truly remarkable. You have spent the last year and a half away from school and away from your teachers and friends, yet you have maintained your academic and personal integrity throughout the process. You have also navigated through the most challenging college admissions season in history, and now you are set to attend the most prestigious universities in the world. We as your parents and your teachers are proud of you. I'm also proud of how this class has come together to face adversity and tragedy. Keep making the choices that you are making to strengthen your community. So now that you know where your roots lie, and you're thankfully taking the hard right over the easy wrong, I'm going to leave you with my last piece of advice. Do not ever give up, period. Choose resilience. Yes, it is a choice, and it is one of the most important characteristics that you can develop as an adult. It is what will separate those who get knocked down and get back up from those who get knocked out and exit the ring. Not all your fights will be in a ring. You may be fighting for equal opportunity for women in your workplace, or for the protection of the environment against destruction. Your fight may be about social justice, or the preservation of our individual liberties. Remember always that the heroes of our lives are those who persevered through challenge. In 1990, just as I had finished my freshman year of college, Iraq invaded our beloved homeland. There is no greater calamity to befall a person than to lose his home. For some of you, the invasion and occupation of Kuwait are as distant in Kuwait's past as the pearl diving days and the Battle of Al-Rigga. But for us, your parents, this was the defining moment of our generation that tested our resolve and threatened to destroy our roots. By the grace of God and by our adherence to our core values, humanity rallied around us to ensure our victory. Today, Kuwait faces other challenges that require other choices. But the same adherence to our roots and the same perseverance will serve us well. Let's get back to Wynton Marsalis and his trumpet. That instrument was his core strength. Identify your core strength and then get really good at it. Then use that strength to advocate for the ideals that will make Kuwait a better place. To say that we all owe Kuwait a great debt of gratitude is something that you've heard countless times in your past 17 or 18 years. But what have you really done to take positive steps to ensure that the country you love will continue to prosper? The moment for you to do that is now. Choose your trumpet. When I was exactly your age, having just graduated high school, Billy Joel released one of his big hits. In it, he recounted major events of the 20th century and then sang, "We didn't start the fire, no, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it." Well, my friends, that fire remains lit. My generation has tried to fight that fire, the fire of aggression, oppression, and bigotry. But we need your help. We have made some great progress along the way, but we also have some glaring errors. Your generation, the great BBS Class of 2021, will help us and lead us in that fight. We as your parents raised you to live in a world more complex than ours when we were your age because we know that the challenges that you will face are more difficult than the ones we faced. We have given you the instruments that you need to compose and play a tune that will develop yourselves and your community. We may not be with you to hear the entire symphony, but we know that with you in charge, it will be beautiful. وفقكم الله. بارك الله فيكم. مبروك التخرج. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.